whispers, alibis thin. Two sharp-eyed sleuths say, all right, who sinned? Has tipped low, clues fall in line. They read between the lines, right on time. Grim starts sweating when the squad rolls through. Every story tested, most don't stand up to prove. So grab your fedora, jump right in. True crime squad's on, and the trouble begins. Join the super squad, bonus laughs, deeper clues. Same sharp sleuths, just extra clues.
Hey everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Kristi Brower, here with my sister, co-host, and partner in crime, Katie Weaver. Hey Katie.
How's it going?
It's going okay. We're a little out of sync.
We're here. We made
but
it.
Hey,
it's okay.
We're here. And it's show number 2 of season 7.
Yes.
And for
brand
that,
new song, brand
excited.
new graphics. Yes, we're loving it.
Guess who also deigned to bring herself to the show today?
Wow.
I know. She really was on vacation in December.
She really was.
I have told her that she must return to her work because her peeps want to see her.
Get back to work, Sandy. Jeez.
Right. You don't get the rest of you're only a 15-year-old cat. You shouldn't always be on vacation. Maybe she should. I don't know.
I kind of think. I mean, I'm a 48-year-old lady, and I think I should also always be on vacation. So.
Okay. Yeah. I feel that way too. It is weird to just be back to like, oh, everything's normal now. Like, is it? Is it really? I don't know. Kind of is, but kind of isn't. And I'll tell you what, this case, it doesn't. I'm very conflicted about what is happening in the Adrian Gonzales trial in the Robb Elementary school shooting. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I know, I told Sandy, no one's even seen you since last year. You need to get your butt in here and be on the show. I'm conflicted a lot, but let's start with who's really responsible for the Robb Elementary school shooting. And I'm going to give you the timeline of the shooting because this happened back in 2022. So let's just kind of have a reminder of what happened. This happened at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas on May 24th of 2022. At 11:28 a.m., the gunman, Salvador Ramos, crashed his truck near the school and fires shots outside. He kind of fired shots at the school building. So that's at 11:28 a.m. This timeline is really important. At 11:30 a.m., he enters the school through an unlocked door on the west side of the school. And he moves to classrooms 11 and 12, opening fire on students and teachers. At 11:33 a.m., first officers arrive and enter the building, including Adrian Gonzales, but not limited to Adrian Gonzales. There were several others. They hear gunfire inside the school, and they fall back because they don't know where the shooter is. And they're trying to figure out where he is, and they're trying to protect themselves as well as figure out what they need to do. It was around this time that they realized that this is not an active shooter running through the building, but this is a shooter that has barricaded himself in one classroom, it was sort of a double classroom. From 11:35 to 11:44 a.m., multiple officers arrive and gather in the hallway outside the classrooms. No coordinated entry is made. Some officers check the doors, which were locked at the time, I believe. But most of them are just waiting for instructions. At 11:36 a.m., a child calls 911 from inside the classroom, reporting injuries and deaths. And additional calls continue over the next 40 plus minutes. From 11:40 to 12:10, 11:40 a.m. to 12:10 p.m., more than 100 officers are now on scene from multiple agencies. Officers remain in the hallway, and children continue calling 911 whispering that classmates are injured or dead. At 12:03 p.m., a child calls 911 and says, there are a lot of dead people. From 12:10 to 12:47 p.m., additional 911 calls come in. At least one call reports the shooter is still alive. No breach is made. At 12:47 p.m., a Border Patrol tactical team. Now, at this point, there are city, state, and school district police in the hallway. But it was a Border Patrol tactical team that forces entry into classroom 111. And they kill Salvador Ramos. The total time is approximately 77 minutes from the gunman entering the school to him being stopped. It's horrifying listening to that and hearing that it was the children making calls from within the classroom that really was giving information.
Of the door.
On the other side of the door.
Side of the fucking door. They were right there.
They were right there the whole time. Now, some things that we don't know for sure and that are going to come out in this trial is how much did Chief Arredondo, who was the chief of police for Uvalde, how much did he know about what was coming into dispatch? Did he know that those phone calls were being made? How much communication was there happening between dispatch and the police? We know now that those 911 calls were happening. We don't know for sure if the police knew that those 911 calls were happening, but they were standing outside the door where they could most certainly hear gunfire and children screaming.
Yeah.
And they stood there for 77 minutes. So this trial is charging Adrian Gonzales, who is a school district police officer. So he's not employed by the city. Most of our school district employee, like resource officers or what they're called here, they're not employed by the school district. They're either employed by the city or the county. Mm-hmm. And then they're just an extension of. In Uvalde, they had police that worked for the school district. And Adrian Gonzales was the officer who responded on scene, who worked for the school district. Mm-hmm. I think this is really important information going forward about why this particular officer is being charged. He's being charged with 29 counts of child abandonment and or injury to a child. Mm-hmm. Each charge could be 2 years in prison.
Wow.
He is the only one on trial, yes. Yeah. This is where this gets confusing. Mm-hmm. Now, Chief Arredondo is also going to go on trial, but for him, it is his poor ability to command his force.
Yeah, negligence.
It is not direct responsibility for what happened. And so what I have is the opening statements from the prosecutor and a summary of the one from the defense. This was handled weirdly. The prosecution opener is just short of 10 minutes.
Wow.
The defense's opener was an hour. Over an hour. I've never seen them differ by that much time. Yeah. It's huge. But I think before we go any further, let's listen to what the prosecution is saying and what the defense is saying, and then we can talk about this particular trial and what all this means.
So the prosecution, I'm assuming, will see it all.
Yes, we're going to see all of the prosecution, and then I have a summary of the defense because it's really long. Also, these, I've started doing summaries of them if they're long because they just repeat the same information multiple times.
Over. Sure, yeah.
And I think it's more effective to just see the main points. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this first is the prosecutor.
Fourth graders lined up throughout the morning, and gathered at the cafeteria with their parents. To receive certificates of achievement. It was a day of celebration. After the celebration, they returned to their homes and to their classes. They turned off the lights and they watched movies because it was a day, it was a light day. Some of the kids got to go to recess. Just down the road was Hillcrest Funeral Home. And a man named Gilbert Lamons was working at the funeral home. It was about 11:30 when a truck crashed through a rail and into a ditch. So he did what any of us would do. He went to check on the driver to see if it was okay. He and Cody Brasino left the funeral home, walked across the street, got close to the ditch when they were met with a man who exited the truck but got out with a rifle, a high-powered rifle. So as you might expect, they turned and ran. Shots were fired. So they called the police. They called the police for help. The gunman jumped over the fence, deliberate pace across the schoolyard to the southwest corner of the building and opened fire. Stephanie Hale was in the playground on the south end of the school. She heard the fire. And it didn't make her incapable of action. She protected the kids. She got them to safety. They went into the classrooms. They did as they'd been trained. They hid in the dark and waited for help from the police. The teachers and the kids armed themselves with scissors to confront a gunman. To confront a gunman. Melody Forrest was also out there that day. She heard the shots fired. She had a concern for the kids. She was capable of action. She ran to where the gunfire was sounding. And there were kids at the south end that were about to go to recess that were told, get back in, get back in, get back in. And she doesn't leave her post until they get back in the west wing. But she stays in there so long that when that happens and the last kid enters, she's face to face with the gunman. And he fires on her and she turns to run. And when she turns to run, she trips and she falls. And when she gets up, Adrian Gonzales, the police officer, is there. She says, he's over there. She urges him to go get him. Adrian Gonzales says, where? Over there. He's wearing black. He's in the teacher's parking lot. As shots are ringing out. This is not confusion. He gets on the radio and says, shots are fired. He's wearing black. He's in the parking lot. He knows where he is. But Adrian Gonzales remains at the south side of the school. The gunman makes his way up the west side of the west building where the fourth graders are. He fires shots into a classroom full of children at 102. Adrian Gonzales remains. He moves down to classroom 104, fires shots into the classroom of 104. Adrian Gonzales remains. He moved halfway down the wing, fires more shots, this time not into the building because there's no defect in the building. It's not going into the windows, it's not going into the bricks. It's also at the same time when forces are coming, other police officers are starting to arrive. He then hurries to the west door and enters. It's been a minute. And there's a break in the shooting.
1 minute.
And Adrian Gonzales remains. He then walks.
I think it's really important just to point out here that as he continues to say he remains, this literally happened in like 2 minutes time. It is not though he stood there for 20 minutes. He didn't. He's relaying on his radio to the police, this is what's happening, this is what we're seeing, this is what I'm hearing, this is what people are telling me. But to listen to this man, it sounds like he stands there forever just waiting for this guy to shoot everybody. But it's literal tiny, tiny amounts of time. Mm-hmm. So it's important to remember that because I really think that this is a very manipulative way to present this information.
Mm-hmm. That gunman then walks down the hallway, gets to room 111 and 112, the entryway, and fires in the neighborhood of 20 shots in the hallway. And Adrian Gonzales remains. The children in 111 and 112 are done as they're trained. In the dark, lights off, be quiet, hide, and wait for Adrian Gonzales.
The important thing to know here also is that Adrian Gonzales is not the only police officer on scene at this point. There are multiple officers on scene, and when they enter the building, they are entering from multiple sides of the school. Mm-hmm. He enters from the south. There are officers who enter from the west, which is where the shooter went in. So it makes it all sound like it's just all on Gonzales because he's the only one there. That is not true. He entered with other officers in this tiny little window of time.
And the gunshots get near, and the slaughter begins. One of the shots penetrates the window going out of room 111. Melody Flores is still urging Adrian Gonzales to go in. She sees the shot come through the window. Adrian Gonzales tells the police he sees the shot go through the window. Adrian Gonzales gets on the radio and says, guys, I think he's made it in the building. This isn't confusion. Adrian Gonzales remains. For the next minute and a half, about 60 shots go into children. And Adrian Gonzales remains. 3.5 minutes into this ordeal, while Adrian Gonzales is still standing out there, his boss shows
3.5 minutes.
up. Peter Arredondo, along with Sergeant Coronado. They're running up adjacent to another building, get about the same distance Adrian Gonzales is from the gunshots, and they hear the shots going off. And Coronado yells, what you would expect a police officer to yell. Shots fired, get in the building. 3.5 minutes later. So Adrian Gonzales joins the other two officers and Donald Page, who's just arrived, and they go into the building. He enters the building 3 minutes and 45 seconds after he got there, and after the damage is done. So we ask ourselves, was this his first day on the job? Was he a rookie? Adrian Gonzales was a veteran of 10 years. He'd been with the Uvalde Police Department for 10 years. He'd been to the school district for a year. He had thousands of hours of training. He went to compel training, which was active shooter training, which is pretty straightforward. When you hear gunshots, you go to the gunfire. But it wasn't just active shooter training. They didn't just sit in a classroom, they practiced. They practiced, what do you do if it's in an open area, like this open area? And they trained Adrian Gonzales how to do his job safely. And that is, you look for concealment and cover. Concealment means the gunman can't see you. It may not protect you if he shoots, but he can't see you. Cover means you're protected. The corner of a building means you're protected. We're not asking Adrian Gonzales to commit suicide. He has been trained to go to the corner of a building and distract, delay, and impede the gunman while help is arriving. But Adrian Gonzales does nothing more than mic his microphone and tell other officers what's going on. So why are we here? When a child is in danger and calls 911, we have the right to expect a response.
Okay, so that was the prosecutor. It's one of the most manipulative openings I think I've ever seen. The crying.
Mm-hmm. The
I mean,
crying. The other guy that
this-
brought up the box of tissues. Come on.
Yes. This emotion should be shown to Salvador Ramos. I think part of this, honestly, is because Ramos was killed on scene. Ramos never had a trial. So we're choosing someone else to treat as though they are Salvador Ramos?
Feels that way.
And trust me, I absolutely hate the police response to this. It was horrible. But it was not one person. It was not even close to one person.
It's
and-
very confusing why he's the only one being held accountable. I don't understand.
I will explain to you why. This is their thinking. And honestly, this is a test case because it's hard to fathom if the law actually even applies in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
He was the school district police officer. So he had a higher duty to protect than the city officers who arrived shortly after him, and they all entered the building at the same time. That's what they're trying to say, is that because he was the school district officer, he had more responsibility to those children than these other officers did.
Yeah.
That makes no sense to me. At what point is a police officer more or less responsible for protecting children?
Yeah.
I cannot get it. That doesn't compute for me
No, me neither.
at all.
But none of what happened at Robb Elementary computes for me. None of it.
No, none of it. Absolutely none of it. But to pick one officer in all of these officers to prosecute like this, I get prosecuting Chief Arredondo. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because his duty as a leader to command sucks. But Adrian Gonzales did exactly the same thing as all of the other officers that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, Haley, it should follow to who's in charge. Well, that's Arredondo.
Yeah.
So let's hear what he has a very robust defense. And I think it's good because this is being used as a test case.
This is an interesting case because, I mean, first of all, my God, I wouldn't want to be on this jury.
No. No.
But also,
They're going to have to see. Well, the crime scene photos are very hotly contested.
Yeah.
And the judge himself has said, I am well aware that these crime scene photos are very prejudicial in this case. And we will deal with them as they come up, because the defense has already been like, he didn't shoot any of these kids.
Right. So
He
why should
didn't
the
even
jury be
witness any
seeing
of
these
them get
things?
shot because he
Right.
didn't.
No.
Why should the jury see those things? Because they're going to connect them with Adrian Gonzales, not Salvador Ramos, who is
Right.
the person, this guy, this is the guy that commit
Mhm.
this shooting. But to listen to that prosecutor and the tearing up,
Yeah, I did not like that.
no, he's
No.
manipulating the jury.
Well,
It's gross.
like somebody in the chat said, if victims' families aren't allowed to be emotional in the courtroom, how the hell is the prosecutor allowed to do that?
Right. That was wildly inappropriate, I think.
Mhm. Mhm.
Right? Who would want to be a police officer after this? Well, you know, I mean, I think all of them sucked. No one
Right.
had the guts to go, fuck you, I'm going in there, until the Border Patrol tactical team came in, which, hello?
Yeah.
It's not even their jurisdiction. And
No.
they're the ones that took down the shooter.
Mhm.
It's wild.
Well,
Okay,
they
so
were too
let's
busy
listen.
fighting parents that were trying to get in there.
Yes, they were out there detaining people. And there were officers, many more officers that arrived that never even got into the building.
Yeah. But my other thought on this case is that it doesn't matter what the jury does. People are going to be outraged. It doesn't matter. Especially because most people won't actually follow the trial and understand what was being tried and why. And so it won't matter what they find. People are going to be livid either way.
Because Gonzales is the fall guy. They've identified someone.
Yep.
This person is responsible.
Yep.
I just don't think that's possible to do. But let's listen to what the defense has to say.
Graders lined up throughout the morning and gathered at the cafeteria with their parents.
Hang on. Sorry. Let's put up this guy again, because that's who we need to remember. Let me get the right video. I've got two of the same video instead of. Or do I? Here we go. Here's the defense.
Fourth graders lined up throughout the morning.
Hold, please. Just as a reminder, this is who we are talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. I'm not sure why I have the same video titled with the same name.
Yep. Spinster says everyone cracked under pressure and training should include duress to recreate these situations more accurately. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it does make you wonder how many police departments or law enforcement offices across the country, because of the Robb Elementary shooting, did reevaluate. I don't know, but I wonder if it caused police chiefs to stop and go, holy shit, would that happen on my watch?
Right.
You know, could that happen on my watch? What do I do to make sure that never happens on my watch?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the point here, is that, you know, there's a reason for these things. And the reason is to reevaluate how they handled it as a squad, as a team, as everybody, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. Most definitely. Because how you had hundreds of police officers there and not enough organization and leadership to stop one gunman that was sequestered in one classroom.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm working on that. Give me a second while we're working on it. I'm going to tell you some things that we know. What do we know about Adrian Gonzales? Well, Adrian Gonzales is from Uvalde. He went to Uvalde High School. He had been a police officer for 10 years. He was an officer with the school district for 1. And so he'd been an officer, you know, with the city for quite a while before he went to the school district. He had a lot of training for mass shooter type situations, as had all of the other officers, because Texas has very specific guidelines and training for all officers when it comes to response in mass shooting. So every one of those officers that arrived there that were either a city or a state officer maybe I think there were county officers there too. They'd all had the training. It wasn't just Adrian Gonzales that had the training. They had all had the training.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that. The way that this is being presented, it was like it was Adrian Gonzales or nobody.
Right.
And that isn't true. Okay, so what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to present this a little different way. I'm going to have to fast forward through some stuff. So give me a minute. I'm going to add this. Let's get in here. Let me get to the defense. Sorry, guys. I don't know what happened, but I have 2 videos with the same name or with different names that are actually the same video. So I'm just going to have to use the original.
Here
we go. Here's the defense.
The monster who hurt those children is dead. And I mean, it's emotion. I could understand why Bill, when he talked to you, I could understand why he had emotion. I can't talk to you without it either. I think you heard me say it yesterday. This is one of the worst things ever happened in our country. There's only been a few like this many, this young, innocent. It's awful. But Adrian Gonzales did the best he could with what he knew at the time. Adrian Gonzales, the prosecution got up here in the opening statement, and you're going to see, and Nico, my partner, he's going to come up here and he's going to go through the times after I talk to you. But you're going to see that the prosecutor has tried to condense time at some points and then tried to stretch it out. But one of the things that you didn't hear in his opening was any preciseness of the times. We heard about a minute. That's not what we're going to do in this trial. We're going to talk about what Adrian knew, what was happening second by second, so that you can understand that we're right. We know that Adrian never was able to confront the gunman. But the prosecution's going to agree, and the evidence is going to prove throughout the trial, Adrian never saw it. The prosecution says knowing the general location. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. And one of the things that you heard the prosecution say, you heard him say that Adrian said he's over there in the parking lot. He's over there in the teacher's parking lot on the west side of the building. What he didn't tell you is that when Adrian said that, and Nico's going to talk about it, when he said that, this is the parking lot on the west side of the building. When Adrian calls that out, he's over here, all the way on the other side of this building. And as far as being here, calling it out, the shooter had already entered the building at the time that Adrian says he's on the west side of the building in the teacher's parking lot. He does not know. Adrian does not know where he is. But I want to talk about it using this map so that you can get an idea of what happened. First, the issue was that, The issue was that,
I'm sorry, my assistant's trying to get in touch with me.
yeah, it's fine. Where we start, and just so that everybody can understand, and oftentimes in these kind of cases, we don't use the names of these monsters because that's a lot of times why they do this, right? He's a monster. What he did to these children, what you're going to see that he did to these children is horrifying.
But you should use his name because his name isn't Adrian Gonzales. It's Salvador Ramos. I understand not using the name. I get that, except that doesn't make it clear to this jury who actually commit this crime. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. The way this is happening is really difficult for me.
It's disgusting. It's terrible. But he didn't start with the kids. The first thing he did before he got to Robb Elementary was he shot his grandmother in the face at his home. So she gets shot in the face. He gets in a vehicle. Her house is probably a couple of blocks. So if you can imagine the map extending out here, he gets in a car. He doesn't know how to drive. He gets in a car with that firearm. He comes up Grove Street here, and you're going to see that this right here it's like a concrete culvert. It's got a railing here, and obviously somebody normally would make that turn. This dead ends into this culvert. After shooting his grandmother in the face, he comes down here, blows through this railing, and his car ends up in the concrete culvert. Now, this is going to be important because if you listen to the prosecution, what the prosecution is wanting, I suppose, and expecting and trying to show you or argue in this trial is that everybody has to have perfect understanding of what's happening. But you're going to see that this is the first thing that contributes to confusion. You're going to hear that there has never been a school shooting in the United States of America that begins with somebody wrecking into a culvert like that. Now, what does this tell a police officer? And you'll hear what the evidence is going to show. This tells a police officer somebody has maybe shot an adult, right? Maybe committed some other crime, maybe committed a robbery, maybe trying to get away, or maybe is drunk, right? And doesn't navigate the turn, or maybe was texting. Some other thing is happening. This is not how a school shooting starts. It just happens to be next to a school, and this is important. So the shooter wrecks, and as the prosecution says, there's a fence right here. He climbs the fence. This is the funeral home he was talking about. People come out of this funeral home because they see this wreck, and he fires shots. Now, where's Adrian at this time? Just so you understand, this is Robb Elementary. These are all the buildings in Robb Elementary. Robb Elementary does not have an officer that's there all the time. So he is not the officer for Robb Elementary. He's not the police officer that's there. He is not at that school. He is actually at a park because he typically works at the high school in Uvalde. And he's at the park with a bunch of the students who they're having there's a different kind of celebration. As the prosecutor said, this is towards the end of the year. So students are, it's not, as we all remember in elementary and even high school, once you get to the end of May, you're not doing a whole lot except award ceremonies, talk to parents, all those other things, watching movies in the classroom, things like that. Adrian is away from here at this park, but he hears the call. He's not the officer actually assigned to even take this call. The call comes out as an accident. A car has crashed into this culvert. He's not the officer assigned. There's a different officer, you'll see, that actually comes up here later on, and the person assigned to the call doesn't ever do any of the things that you're going to see that Adrian did. But he gets a call to crash, and he says, okay, I'll go out and see what's up, see what's going on. You'll hear a particular thing about Uvalde. Uvalde has a population of people who are undocumented. You will hear that 50 times in a 2-month period is typical for there to be some sort of accident or bailout involving people who are undocumented. It's one of those things that's particular to Uvalde, and particular to the region. It's one of those things that officers deal with all the time, and it's one of the things schools deal with all the time. And this is important because when that crash happens, the school does not go into lockdown. Why doesn't the school go into lockdown? Because nobody is expecting that this is a school shooting. They're expecting that this is a drunk. This is somebody getting away from something else. Now, why is that important?
So what he's saying is a bailout, as in somebody wrecks their car, bails out and runs because they're undocumented and they were driving drunk or they were doing this or that. And so this happens on a regular basis. And because of that, they don't put the school on lockdown every time something like this happens near a school. If that happens near our schools, it's an immediate lockdown.
Yeah.
So it is not like Adrian, who is not assigned to Robb Elementary, remember, he's assigned to the high school, immediately thinks school shooting when he hears there's been a crash and somebody jump out of the car and run. Right? No. Because that's honestly, not what usually is happening.
Who would?
Right? Who would? You don't even know at this point that there's a gun involved. You know somebody wrecked a car and jumped out and ran off.
Mm-hmm.
Right. See, ours too. Amy says our school is locked down if there's any crime within a mile of a school. Right. And ours does the same. But they don't do that because this is very common. He said 50 a month can be the case. And so the first thing Adrian hears is this is a car accident with someone who ran from the scene. I'm close. I'm going to go ahead and see what's going on. The prosecution makes it sound like he knew exactly what was happening from the very moment that it all began, but he didn't. None of them did. The police did not know what this was.
Right.
Because it didn't start with a shooting. I mean, it did, but that shooting happened when he killed his grandma.
Yeah.
But they didn't know that. So what they know is that this is a car accident. And so he responds because he's the school district officer, he's nearby. He goes to see what is going on here. But it's super important to remember that Adrian Gonzales did not know when he arrived there that this was an active shooter.
Even when he's advancing or leaving his car, what they can see and what they can tell at the time is not telling anybody that he is trying to get into this school to hurt any children in this school. He is trying to get away from the scene of this crash. And that's one of the themes that throughout is that what's happening with this particular situation is confusing the police about what actually the intentions are of this person. They start setting up perimeters that you'll see later because they're thinking he's trying to just get away from them. Nobody's thinking, we know now, they know now, everybody knows now that he was messaging people that he's about to go shoot up a school. Everybody knows now that he was disturbed, that he was a monster, that he was trying to do this. He was speeding towards the school to do it and just happened to have not negotiated the turn and went into this culvert. But at the moment, that's not what it looks like. That's not what it looks like to him. It's not what it looks like to anybody. It's not what it looks like to anybody, any of the officers that come up. But then there is gunfire. And that's important. So he shoots here towards the funeral home. At the same time and around, Adrian is starting his response. And Adrian also comes up Grove Street. And this is important. They'll talk to you about the fact that there was Melody Flores. As Ramos is walking this way, and he does walk. He starts walk, shoots here, starts walking this way. You'll hear that people from the funeral home, the homes up here, can see that he hide behind cars, and they call that in. But that's not something communicated over the radio to the police. But they do call it in that he is here in the parking lot. By the time Adrian is getting here to the property, he understands. He starts to understand because now the people are calling 911. They'll talk about, and now they're saying that shots are fired. So Adrian here, as he's coming down here, he starts to hear shots are fired. This is a gate that gets onto that school property. It should be closed. It wasn't. And Adrian drives right through here. So he is responding, and you're seeing shots fired, hearing shots fired, understanding, okay, this is not just an accident anymore. And then you'll hear that Melody Flores, the teacher that the prosecution talked to you about, the teacher that the prosecutor said, well, she acted. Right, and we agree. She did see kids, and she told them. When we talk about the west part of the building, south part of the building, west part of the building, south part of the building. She told them, "Get back inside. Get back inside." As she's over here telling them this, and he's here firing rounds, and you're going to know that that's where he's around this area firing rounds. Adrian is coming here. Once Ramos is behind these cars in the parking lot, Adrian doesn't see him at all. Never does. The prosecutors never ever saw, not in his life, ever saw this gunman. Gunman's here. Flores is here. Adrian sees Flores from that distance and thinks that she may be the gunman, or that she may have, or somebody. He doesn't know if it's a man or a woman. You'll see the distances. It's too far to tell. But he thinks that he's hearing that there's a person. Hearing that he knows there's shots fired. He believes that this person is either grappling with a gunman or is the gunman themselves. The reason he thinks that they might have grappled is because, as Bill said, she trips and she falls in, and this is all dirt. So there's like this cloud of dust, and it looks like from that distance. What does Adrian do? He acts. You will watch him, and there's a camera from this funeral home that will show this. He comes in and he spots her. He zeroes in on her, doesn't know it's a her, doesn't know it's a coach, doesn't know it's a teacher, thinks that that's what he's there to respond to, thinks that that's potentially the danger that he's there for. And he drives straight to her, goes straight at her until he gets here. And this is where Adrian ends up parking his car, and you'll see that. Adrian parks here. She falls down here in the dirt. Remember, this is the south side of the building. 5 seconds after he gets out of the car and realizes this isn't a gunman and there's nobody else here but her, and he's trying to ask what's happening. 5 seconds after that, the shooter starts shooting into the side of this school. And he does. You can see by the shell casings, they'll line here, and you'll hear that shell casings, when a gun is fired, they go back, slightly back and to the right, slightly back to the right. And you can use the shell casings. There's never any over here, so he wasn't over here firing at Melanie Flores. They're here, and they go right up the building here. So it gets in here. So what they're talking about is the gunman is moving up this school. And these distances, when you go and you see it in person, or you see it in some of these videos, you see the pictures, it doesn't do it justice. This and this, there's nobody that can see or understand here what's going on over here. There's not. She is telling him, but she's going to testify to you that when he got out, she told him he's in the building. And she was 100% wrong. He was standing right here, shooting here. And that's okay that she's wrong. We're not requiring her to be right. This is the most tragic day of Melanie Flores' life. It's the most stressful thing that she's ever been through. But as the prosecutor says, Adrian says, well, but she's telling me that he's over there and that he's wearing black. And what did Bill say? He said, well, what did he do? He didn't do nothing but call and radio for other people to come. That's what police officers are supposed to do. Whenever you hear information, you have to call it out to everybody else for everybody else's safety. So you'll hear that at that time now, 3 officers arrive right here. One of them has a rifle. You see him about to go in the door. One of them asked for permission to shoot. Permission, there's not even a chance for a response. Because by the time that they turn around, he's gotten inside. Adrian doesn't know any of this. Didn't see any of this. They see it because they're at a direct line of sight to that door, to that west entrance. Adrian is dealing with a woman who is going to tell you and going to testify to you that she's telling Adrian that he's in the building. But it's clear that these gunshots, as he's moving up this building, it's clear that those gunshots are coming from outside. What Mr. Turner said was that he was supposed to make it to the corner of this building here. That's what he's talking about. Make it to the corner and distract delay. The distance from this point to this corner, there's nothing in between. And you'll hear that Adrian is doing as he's supposed to do. Once these gunshots happen, once he starts shooting into this side of the building, Adrian thinks they're taking fire. He does. He gets to the front of his car and he's trying to use the car as cover. There's a car. He has his car. This corner of the building is about 45 seconds away, walking from where his car is. Maybe 30. 32, 33, 34, 35, depending on how fast you walk or run. But you have to run through open. But his car is right there, so he doesn't do nothing. He gets behind his car to try to figure out where the gunfire is coming from. You're going to hear that these officers here, as the shooter is shooting into the building all the way up, these officers here, they think that the gunfire is coming at them. Because of the nature of gunfire, and we're going to talk about it. Once you have a rifle fire, it's going to bounce, and it bounces off of these structures, and it echoes, and it comes back to the people, and it causes confusion. So they think that the shots are coming at them. The shots aren't, but it's understandable they think so. He thinks they're coming at him. she's going to tell you that she's telling him that he's in the building when he knows that he's not in the building. But when he calls out that he's on the west side, you'll know when he understands and knows. When Adrian finally figures out where he is, their indictment says, knowing the general location of the shooter. He does call out on the radio the general location of the shooter. 1 second after the shooter's already entered the building. When Adrian is saying that he's by the cars in this lot, he's not there. He's inside. These guys saw him go in. These guys here saw what happened. Adrian is here and cannot see that. Now, other things begin to happen. So at a certain time, and even you're going to hear these guys, they still don't know what his intent is. They think that they're setting up here. They're trying to figure out. They know he's wrecked and he shot at these people. They're assuming that he's trying to get away from them. Nobody still is assuming this is what ultimately happens, is tragedy. Once something like this happens, right? This was the only and the first time ever that a school shooting starts with a wreck and a culprit. Now, part of the training. Don't get confused. Don't get confused by the fact that there may be other things going on. Just like if there's a robbery at this funeral home and somebody's running out of the funeral home, it's not the first assumption back then for a police officer to say, oh, he's robbing the funeral home, then he's going to run over here and he's going to go into the classrooms and shoot the children. It's not the first assumption. Now, of course, that doesn't excuse it. It's wrong. It contributes to the confusion. So as we get here, you'll see that, I think Bill said, his boss arrives. What happens is that some of the officers, as he's going in this way, some of the officers bring the car around to try to figure out, is he trying to get around here? You'll see that Coronado and you'll see that Chief Arredondo come this way and this way to where Adrian is. By the time that they talk to Adrian, you have Sergeant Page that pulled in and arrived. So what's happening is that Adrian's trying to call it out. He sees other people. He then hears and understands eventually when Sergeant Page gets there, as he's trying to brief him about what's happening, he hears that he's in the building. And Adrian is one of the first 3 people to go in. This is not a man that does nothing. This is not a man that is sitting and doing nothing. It's a man who is confused. It's a man who's talking, who has made assumptions that are understandable that turned out to be wrong. But he was trying. He was going towards that danger. And this is a man who, when it was time and they are standing here and it's time, because you'll hear that Coronado did say, he's in the building, we got to go. But Sergeant Page never said any of that. Sergeant Page said, we're standing there. We hear the gunshots from inside the building. We made the decision. Everybody's kind of making that decision at the same time. The first 3 people to go in. When Adrian goes in there, when he goes into the building, Sergeant Page is in front of him and he goes in behind him in the building. The gunman comes out of the classroom and takes shots at other officers coming in from the other side. Adrian Gonzales did not fail to act. The gunman turns that way instead of that way. He's right in the line of fire. And he was willing to be there in a hallway with a rifle with no real protection from a rifle. They had nothing that would protect them from a rifle. That wasn't going to stop the rifle. If he turned around and shot him right in the chest, right past the Kevlar, that bullet killed him. And he did. He went in. He's one of the first in the building. But they get backed off because the shooter does not come out of the classroom. But you'll see him in videos. Does not come out. But the gun comes out, shoots at other officers that are trying to come from the other way. They back off. You're also going to hear that Adrian has a radio. None of the officers' radios in Uvalde ISD, none of them, you'll hear what they say break. That just means none of them work. They cannot communicate inside the building. His chief tells him to go out of the building and call SWAT. Adrian does. You'll also hear that as people start arriving, right, because eventually there'll be 374 officers that arrive. They, in any of the indictment they read.
Okay, I think we can stop this here. So you get the picture. This
He's
is all
good.
happening very fast.
Mm-hmm.
It starts with a car accident.
Yeah.
They don't know for several minutes that there's even a gun involved. He's trying to figure out what's happening and call it in, which is what police are supposed to do. And then he's trying to step back from what he thinks is he's being shot at, because this guy is firing outside. He's trying to get behind his car and see if he can see the guy to see what the hell is happening here. At the same time that some other officers arrive closer to the shooter, Adrian can't even see the shooter. And they aren't charged. The whole thing is horrible. It was so wrong. And yeah, the fact that their radios don't work inside the building, are you fucking kidding me? How are they supposed to communicate with each other? Adrian has to go out to call SWAT to say, get over here. Like, it's a terrible situation, but blaming one guy does not solve this.
No, and it doesn't make sense.
I just don't think is right. I don't understand how the law applies to Adrian and not all the other officers.
Yeah. Me neither. And like you, I think there should be all kinds of accountability for the Robb Elementary shooting.
Right.
But I can't understand why this is the guy on the block. Yeah, this makes no sense to me.
Yeah. It doesn't me either.
Yeah.
At the time that he went into the building, there were 6 to 7 officers going into the building at the same time. But this is the guy, and they all imply that he was first. They don't even know for sure who was first. Oh, Sandy. They don't even know for sure who was first, but they all, because they all were kind of going in different entrances at the same time.
Yeah.
This doesn't make any sense. This looks to me like we're going to scapegoat one guy for this entire
get
thing.
our pound of flesh because the
get our
community
pound
is
of
so
flesh,
angry. Yeah.
I was glad that he finally said Ramos. Like, I know we don't want to glorify this guy's name,
but this is the time to discuss him. I mean, come on. This is the time
when we say Salvador Ramos killed these children, not Adrian Gonzales. This is bizarre. It makes my stomach hurt. Watching these videos makes me feel sick. Because I don't know if they think this is going to be a Band-Aid for what happened at Uvalde or at Robb Elementary, but it's not.
And what will the jury do?
What will the jury do?
So it looks like it's supposed to be about a 2-week trial.
Which kills me. How? For what reason? How? I know there's tons of recorded, there's video, there's audio, there's,
and extra witnesses will be FBI agents, Texas Rangers, dispatch, school employees, and family members of victims.
Yeah. But again, all of that implies that the guy that killed these kids is Adrian Gonzales. And it's not. It's Salvador Ramos.
Yeah.
I did some digging into Gonzales to see have a history of disciplinary problems. Has he been slow to react in the past? Is there something? No, nothing.
Wow.
Nothing reported publicly of any kind of disciplinary action, of any problems on the force, of anything that would apply to this. It doesn't exist. They say that, the defense says that in their opening, that they don't have anything. They've never been able to get any discovery that said that, like, hey, there's a reason why they targeted this guy, other than he worked for the school district.
But this wasn't even his school.
It wasn't his school. And he responded to a car wreck.
Yeah.
That turned into a school shooting.
Oh
the problem was that this was extremely confusing for everyone. And once they knew exactly what it was, their leadership did not act.
Yeah.
And so to imply that his mandate is to act as he's been trained for a school shooting or for a mass shooting, when he arrived at a car accident, it doesn't track with me. I don't see how there's any law that even can hold him accountable here.
Yeah. Well,
is it?
It'll be interesting to see how the jury applies the law, or if they're really even able to.
If they can, right.
But again, I gotta say, The prosecutor should not have been allowed to do all that crying during the opening. That
No,
was
that was
really
wrong.
inflammatory. Yeah.
It was really inflammatory and wrong. And like, come on, that's when you're talking to the Brian Kobergers of the world, or about
Yeah.
the Brian Kobergers of the world.
Hmm.
But this isn't right.
No.
I just, yeah, the crying was ridiculous. But I'm glad that you guys are seeing what I saw, because as I was prepping this, I was like, oh my God,
Just doesn't feel good.
this
Yeah.
is hideous
Yeah.
and manipulative, and, playing on the jury's heartstrings, when in reality, what did Gonzalez do? How could he have done anything differently? He didn't know what this man was going to do.
No.
Neither did the other officers. Now, once they were inside and he's barricaded in a room shooting kids, yes, then they knew.
Yes.
But then they're all responsible, not just one person.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, they're all responsible. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
But this just seems bizarre.
Yeah, it
Again,
is.
you're right, though. I think this is just an attempt to throw a Band-Aid on a bleeding community and say, see, we did our
We
due
did
diligence.
something.
Yeah.
Right. And this is not it. Right, yes, the judge had to look at the photos today. They included a deceased fetus because one of the teachers was pregnant.
My God.
And because the defense said this is very inflammatory.
Yeah.
Our client didn't commit this crime. We cannot allow these. I don't think they're going to get to see him.
Well, I mean,
The judge was very clear.
the only way to convict on this is just through emotion, because
Right.
the facts don't really seem to back up
No.
the case. This is just strictly through emotion.
Well, and that whole, and Adrian remained. These were literal seconds we're talking about. Seconds. Where this guy is like, this guy's in trouble with the cops. He's running from us. He's shooting at me because I'm an officer.
Yeah.
There's no thought that this is a school shooting until he goes into the building.
Yeah.
And even then, he thought, he's probably just trying to get away from me.
Right.
Why do you think that a car accident
Is a school shooting?
is a school shooting? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
This is just making a really horrible situation even worse somehow.
so much worse. And they're going to drag the victims' families through this, and they're dragging
Yeah.
the school personnel and the officers who lived through it. Like,
And regardless
it's
of
horrible.
the outcome, there's going to be outrage
No matter what.
no matter what. Yeah.
I honestly hope for Adrian Gonzales that he's exonerated.
Me too. I can't see
I
how
just
he's
don't think you
culpable.
can put this at his feet.
No.
Yeah. So that's what we know.
However,
we'll
when
keep
it comes
covering
to the
this.
chief, I'm
Yeah.
here for that one.
What the hell, Arredondo? Where the hell were you
Yeah.
when it was time to breach that door and get in there? That part,
Yeah.
right? And there was a door unlocked,
Mm-hmm.
which shouldn't have been unlocked.
Yeah.
That's how we got into the building, was a door that was unlocked. It was on the side of the building where the teacher's parking lot is.
Mm-hmm.
And probably where the teachers came and went.
Yeah.
And that door was unlocked for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So we will continue to follow and give updates on this trial. And then, of course, closing arguments and verdict and all that stuff. We'll do all of those things and kind of let you know what evidence is being presented, because I'm very curious. I think there's going to be a really robust defense in this case.
Yeah, it sure seems that way.
Much more robust than we've seen recently, but that's because there's real potential for exoneration in this case.
Yeah, definitely.
Did Arredondo even show to the scene? Oh yeah, he was there. He was right there. He was right at the scene. He arrived right after Gonzalez did. He was present. He was the guy who should have said, we're breaching this door.
Yeah.
And waited 77 minutes.
Yeah.
But he's not being charged with 29 counts of child endangerment.
No.
And child neglect.
Yeah.
Gonzalez is. It's just bizarre. So with that, that's what we have for you today. We will be back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Mountain for case updates. And we haven't done case updates for 2 weeks. So
Yeah.
we have lots of stuff to tell you.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty excited about that. And welcome to season 7. We are really happy to be back. We're happy you're all here.
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget to join the Super Squad. If you haven't, many of you, you're all still joining. We get joins every day.
Yeah.
And we're happy to see that. But that is the best way to get our bonus content. It's also the best way to support us, keep us doing what we're doing.
Yeah. Highly appreciated.
Because this stuff matters.
Yeah.
And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.
Join the Super Squad, bonus laughs, deeper clues, same sharp sleuths, just extra clues.